Prepper Challenge, volume number 2. 3 scenarios to think about to help you plan and prepare. Scenario 1. Without warning, there's a massive water break. You're suddenly without water from the taps in your house. You hear that an emergency water wagon has been set up a few blocks away. Temperature outside is minus 10 degrees Celsius with a wind chill of minus 16. What would you do? Would you crack open one of the many bottles of Evian you've stockpiled? And remember, as my kids told me, Evian is naive spelled backwards. B, would you race around the house looking for containers to take to get water from the water wagon? Hey, this is almost as fun as when 7-Eleven has bring your own container for Slurpee Day. C, would you call an online grocer and place the order for some water? D, do nothing. You don't drink water, just coffee. But wait, isn't coffee mostly water? Water disruption plan. So again, when we're doing planning, an impact assessment, figuring out what elements we need to plan for, let's think about that. What do we need water for? Well, 3 big ones that come to mind are drinking, so for hydration, cooking, and for washing or hygiene. Other things you'd want to put in your plan or think about: how long is this outage expected to last for? How widespread is the outage? All of these things will play into the plans that you make. Mitigation. So let's again look at what do we normally use it for? And if that's disrupted, how do we replace that or have a workaround? So hydration. Well, if we normally get up in the morning, go to the tap, get a glass, turn the tap on, get water and drink it. Now we go to the tap, turn the tap, nothing comes out. Okay, what's our workaround? Well, we could have some stored water. Maybe we keep a jug in the fridge just to have it cool. Maybe we followed advice and we've got 4 liters per person per day stored. Maybe we have other fluids, because if it's just hydration, well, maybe we have Gatorade. Maybe we have other things that could replace it. Maybe not water, but we've got stuff that, again, fits the bill of hydration. What about cooking? Well, some of that 4 liters per person per day could be used for cooking. But again, you want to look at also storing some food that is low or no water required for its preparation. So unless you like eating Mr. Noodle or Ichiban noodles raw and uncooked, maybe don't store a lot of those. I know they take minimal water, so that's good. Maybe look at things like a can of beans, can of tuna, alfaghetti, SpaghettiOs, whatever your preference is that does not require water. A lot of the ready-made soups is just open the can and heat it up. What about washing and hygiene? Again, some of that 4 liters per person per day could be for hygiene. So if you're going to clean yourself, maybe have some wet wipes, baby wipes, disinfectant wipes, anything like that that you want to use to help with that don't require water. And remember, hygiene is also waste removal. So if the water's not coming out of the tap, the water's not going to fill the toilet tank up either. So as soon as you flush it once, that's it. So how are you going to look after waste removal? Maybe you'll have to think about, will I go outside to go to the bathroom? Will I have a bucket or one of those little camping toilets, a pail with a seat that I can put on it? Do I have toilet paper handy? Maybe some cat litter, sawdust, something to help with the smell, bags. You have to think about these things. Even if you think it's unpleasant, I can guarantee you preparing and thinking about it ahead of time is far more pleasant than the alternative. Establish a second place you can go that may not be in the impacted area. So again, if you look at how widespread is this disruption, well, it's just our block or just our neighborhood, I'll go to my friend's place. We'll stay there for the night. We'll go to a hotel room. Go visit grandma, whatever it is. Maybe you've got a backup water source. So if you're a business, do you have storage tanks for water? Do you have a second water feed from a second part of the distribution system that might not be impacted? Do you have rain barrels? Can you collect rainwater? Maybe you can use those even if it's just for flushing the toilets. Do you have a well in addition to being connected to a municipal water grid? What other sources of water do you have? If you say, well, I haven't stored any bottled water, I forgot to do that, I didn't get around to it. Well, again, let's go back to that toilet tank. If it's a matter of drinking versus flushing the toilet, that water in your toilet tank is the same quality as what comes out of your tap. So if you could normally drink the water from your tap, you can drink the water from the toilet tank. The water heater. That's a big tank filled with water that even if you question its potability, you could still use it potentially for cooking or, if nothing else, flushing the toilet. I'm amazed that we still use high quality potable water to flush toilets. If you have time, fill the tub with water. Hopefully your tub's clean. But you can get products. You can get these, the big fillable bladders that you can put in the tub if you know that you suspect there's going to be a disruption in the water. You can fill the bladder with water so it's cleaner. When I worked for water utilities, in talking with other water utilities too, there was always the debate on, if we know there's going to be an outage, do we let people know? Because the fear from the utility side is that if everyone hears there's going to be an outage, and if they think, well, I've got to fill my tub, and if everyone turns on the water to fill their tubs, that could exacerbate or accelerate the problem. So you may not get very much warning. But if you do get warning, you can fill up pots, pans, the tub, maybe have some containers, some empty containers, even a few 2-liter empty pop bottles. It doesn't cost much to save that instead of getting the few cents that you would get for, the refund. Have those containers ready to fill up. Next scenario, you hear a knock on your door and a police officer tells you need to evacuate your home in the next 15 minutes. I've seen this happen. I've been on calls for large-scale floods with the response team and had some of the team on the call say, I've got to go. The police are knocking on my door. My neighborhood's being evacuated. What would you do? Would you enact your evacuation plan, grab your go bag and go? Would you grab a pillowcase, run around the house yelling, where's the can opener? Not that one, the one that works. Flashlights, everything you have and need for your go bag, you probably have in your house. It's just all over the house. When time is of the essence, you've got to have that bag packed and ready. Would you yell road trip and head to the travel lodge for a mini holiday? Would you assume the fetal position, curl up, rock back and forth, sobbing lightly, and hope that they don't come back to actually check on you? Your evacuation plan. Have your 72-hour kit, your bug-out bag, whatever you want to call it, have it packed and ready to go with those critical things in it. Ensure your plan includes 2 ways out of each room in your house. Your actual house, your neighborhood, your city, your province. It's a good exercise to go through to think that out. I've been to many neighborhoods where there's only one road in and one road out. Pros and cons, right? You have to think, well, what if that road's blocked? Well, I could just drive over the grass, right? Maybe you don't have to be on the actual road. I've seen many people stuck in traffic for emergencies, and they could just drive over a boulevard. Or if it's really an emergency, figure out how you would get out. What's the best way for you to leave? If you're instructed to register at a reception center, even if you know you're not going to stay there, check in, call them, whatever, let them know you're okay, you're evacuated. They're trying to keep track of things. And think about that plan. What else is in your plan? Well, what's your escalation path? Is your plan to wait in your house until someone comes and tells you that it's time to go? Wouldn't you rather be informed and have part of your plan? What are your triggers? When do you evacuate? Because if you're waiting until the government and local authorities are coming and telling you it's time to get out, and now you're leaving with the masses, wouldn't you rather be ahead of that? Wouldn't you rather make your own decisions and evacuate on your terms, in your time? Think about your triggers. Next scenario, you hear a scream from the living room. You run in to find one of your kids with blood coming from a cut on their hand. What do? Look away. You can't stand the sight of blood. Now, this is a real thing too, because if you know you faint at the sight of blood, you either got to get over that and be able to deal with it, or deal with it in a way that you know you can't see it, because you will become a second victim. So it may sound funny, but you do have to consider this. Know your limitations, right? Or do you grab your first aid kit, glove up, and put your training to use? Do you call your neighbor because weren't they in the Boy Scouts? Didn't they used to be a nurse? Or you do nothing. This is a good learning moment for your kid. It's going to help them build character. And as Homer Simpson would say, hey, well, my hand will grow back, right? First aid incident mitigation. Get training. This is a basic life skill. Very, very important. Have supplies at the ready, even if it's just a few Band-Aids, right? Or if you have the training and it allows you to think outside the box, right? You can apply pressure with a clean cloth, a t-shirt, any of those things, right? Know your limitations. Know where your training stops, what you can or can't do. If you haven't been trained to do an emergency tracheotomy or perform surgery, probably shouldn't be doing it. Know your resources, right? What skills and equipment do you have at the ready? Your community, friends, family, 911, poison control. Know those things. Final thoughts. These scenarios highlight the importance of, again, identifying those key contingencies. We know we should be planning for certain things. Now, there is all hazards planning where you think, I'm just going to have a plan that doesn't matter what happens, I'll use this plan. But there's key things that happen enough that we need to have plans specifically for those. Evacuation is one of them. First aid emergencies are one of them. You will either come across this in your own life and family or with people you don't know and you're able to help, or at least have that option to help. Identify the contingencies, develop your plans, acquire the needed resources. So again, mitigate. So you look at mitigation as the first step. What are those risks and hazards? How do we decrease the probability of them happening or decrease the impact should they happen? Then after mitigation, we're in the preparedness phase. That's where we develop plans, we acquire resources, we get our training, we practice the plans. That's all the preparedness phase. Then there's the response phase where we actually put it into play. And then there's the recovery phase, which is where we do lessons learned and after action type stuff and say, how do I get better? So plan, practice, and perfect. You may have the resources, just not know where they are. You have to think about these things ahead of time. Thanks very much. Enjoy. Hope these help with your prepping. Talk more soon.